telling Face about scams, but scams and Eve, if it's too good to be true, it is. And always take an extra second to look at your contract, make sure you're getting what you're supposed to be getting, and you're not paying them more than you are supposed to be paying. Alright, so here's my alt. As you see, I got the nice, stupid, annoying resume tutorial thing, because technically the character's got less than whatever SP. So, I'm actually doing this. My music stopped. I'm doing this in a Buzzard, which is actually a Tech 2 fit. So this is a Tech 2 version of something called a Heron. So I've got probes there, I've got a cloak, which the Tech 2 version of Heron, the Buzzard, is a covert ops, so it allows you to have a cloak that lets you warp while invisible. That's fine, Darth. I'm going to show you right now. You and I are going to figure this out together. Oh, fuck me, it's 1:30 in the morning. Okay, still going to do this. We're going to do this for Darth, and then I'm going to go to sleep. So, here's the deal. If you want to probe something out, you need to have probes loaded, okay? Now, here's the skills real quick. There's a skill category called scanning. These skills are how you probe, okay? You need these. At the basics, you need astrometrics. Okay, without this, you can't use probes at all. All right. Train this to level 1, and you can use 8 probes. All these others are supports. So for exploration, you need hacking, and you need archaeology. All right. Archaeology's for relic sites. Hacking's for data sites. These other 3 just make it easier and faster to probe things down. Okay. And then surveys just for cargo scanners. So, I'm going to close that. If you want to probe something out, you hit your button here, it says scanner. Then you go to probe scanner, the one on the left. That brings up a screen like this. Now, we're going to turn off anomalies. Alright, anomalies are the ones that you can warp to by default. You don't have to find them. I don't want to listen to this. We don't care about that. So we're going to look for this cosmic signature. Alright, so when you're in here, what I like to do is I like to go to the map, and there's a nice little button right here, it says map. Opens this up, okay? From the probe screen, it defaults to showing your solar system. What the problem with this is say I close this out and I go to figure out where I want to travel to, and I hit map over here, it stays on solar system, right? That's kind of annoying. But what you can do, see right here it says star map, hit that and you get the big map back. Alright, so, and from here, if I'm in this, I want to go solar system, I hit it again, now I'm solar system. So you first open up your probe screen like this, and for each signature, it's going to have like a big red circle, a big red sphere, right? And that's just saying, in general, this signature is in this space, okay? And obviously it says you are here because I'm by this station. So, first thing you got to do is launch your probes. And when you launch your probes, they default into a setup that they call spread, right? The tutorial recommends using this just to get a general idea of what things are. I usually don't do that because I don't really care. Like, I do, but I don't. So I tend to use what they call pinpoint, right? So that's this button. And now you see they all go to this weird overlap thingy, right? So real brief explanation on how this stuff works. Alright, so let me go. Sorry, it's coughing. So, let's do this real quick. Probes have a sensor strength base. Okay, this is before you get your skills involved. So, a regular Tech 1 core scanner probe 40 strength. Okay, that is how much sensing it can do in its sphere, right? The bigger the sphere that you make, the less of its sensor strength is on a given part of that volume. Okay, so the smaller you make it, the more concentrated that sensor is, the stronger the return that individual probe will do. However, it's got less range, so it's, you know, it's not going to show a whole lot of stuff. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to pretend I've never set stuff up before. So we've got our spread formation, which I don't do anything with. We've got our pinpoint. Now, as you can see, this default setup doesn't really cover a whole lot of space, right? So what you can do, if you hold down Alt, get a box for everything. Without Alt, you're moving them all together, okay? Shows this up, and as you hold Alt and you drag, it does equal spacing on all of them automatically, okay? So it makes it a little bit easier for your positioning. But let's say I want to start making pinpoints starting at like 16 AU, which is the max, down to 0.5 AU, which is the minimum, okay? And again, as you get it smaller, the sensor strength for that volume gets higher, and you're more likely to find a warpable return. But you're covering less space, so you tend to start big, and then you start working down, and I'll show that in a second. What you can do here is in this upper part, you can shift click everybody, right click, and set a range. So I do 16. And now what I want to do is this box you see here at its infinitesimally small point at the intersection of those three lines is the center. Okay, so what I like to do is I like to make sure my spacing is such that I get an overlap in the center. And the reason why is it's a way of, I won't say cheating the system because this is the mechanics, but it's a way in that overlapped region, it's gaining the portion of this sphere that's in that area, the portion of this sphere, this sphere, this sphere. They're all overlapping, right? So all those sensor strengths for that particular volume from each of those spheres is overlapping. So that sensor strength in that area is more than the individual parts, right? The sum is greater than the parts. So what you can do then is on here, you can save this. You click this little hamburger button, they call it, put in a name for it, and you hit save. And then next time, you don't have to do all that dragging. You just select it. Boom, 16. Boom, 8. So you select it, click it. So I went through at some point in the past, I made a 0.5, a 1, a 2, a 4, an 8, and 16. So I'm going to start out with my 16. Okay? Now, so when you're in this screen, left click. Yeah, I'll try to remember to, Eltman. Hi, Nox. I was logging off like half an hour ago. Instead, I'm teaching Darth how to do some probing. And then I'll go to bed. So your left click, you hold it down, you can pan your camera around, just like in space. Or tilt. If you right click, you slide it. Okay? No tilting, just sliding. And then, just like in space, mouse wheel zooms in and out. So, we do our pinpoint 16. In this case, we could probably do smaller. But we'll do 16 for now and pretend it's hard. Alright, so all you do is you try to get your box in the center of that circle. Alright, so that's not perfect, but that's center-ish. And then you just hit scan. Or analyze, sorry. And then they warp to their positions. Zoom. And then when the bar starts going across, that's when it's doing a scan. And then when it finishes, it'll say something. So now that we've tried to scan it, it's not a sphere anymore, okay? And sometimes it'll look like a point, which means you had enough sensor strength to determine it's in a particular area, right? Sorry, I was chatting in game. Other times you might see it'll be like a red circle, not a sphere, but just a circle. And that basically means it's somewhere along the edge of that particular sphere. And then all you would do is you would just recenter your box in that circle. So if we wanted to pretend that this sphere up here was actually the outline of it was a red circle, we would move this box up to that center and we'd redo the scan. And chances are we would then get the individual point that you see there. So we know that it is roughly there because it gives us that red dot. So again, we're going to take our box, we're going to center it on that point, going to rotate to the side so we get the elevation correct. And at the same time, oop, I'm a little off there. And at the same time, I'm going to go ahead and reduce this range to 8. Now, just from practice, I know I could probably drop this down to 2, but we'll just, again, we'll pretend. Hit analyze again. They move to their new positions. They scan. And when it's done, this should go up. Okay, it's gone up a little bit. And it's also moved. So see, as we get closer to it, it's going to adjust, okay? It might move around on you a little bit until you get past a certain point. And that's just because it's a weak signal. So it's kind of like, I don't know, it's kind of like triangulating with radio signals or something like that. If you got a really fuzzy signal, you know, and you're going off to the west, you know, maybe it's not quite so clear. You go east, it's slightly, maybe a little bit clearer, but as you get closer, you know, it wanders or whatever. Anyway, that's probably a bad analogy. So I'm going to cheat. I'm going to drop down to 2. I'm going to gamble here. I believe in you, Darth. We can do this. So again, make sure you're centered. Bring that up there like so. Hit our analyze and hope we get a good enough signal. And I really hope this is a data site, not like a wormhole or something, so that I can show you hacking. Alright, so now here's what's happening. So sometimes this happens. You'll get a return on 2. I forget why it does that sometimes, but it does. Anyway, so basically at this point you just pick one and just kind of remember where the other one is. So this one, if I'm wrong, is kind of off this planet a bit. So here we go. And normally I'm slightly faster than this. I'm not the best prober in the world, but I'm usually faster than this. Alright, let's give that one a try. So yeah, so this is the tedious part of exploration. And like I said, with practice you'll be faster. So I guessed right, but I need to get my sensor strength up. So how do I get my sensor strength up? Class, I'm sure you remember, there will be a quiz on it later. You make them smaller or closer together, and actually a little bit of both. Alright, and let's go ahead and drop to a onesie. Oh, I was already at a onesie. Ooh, look, a new one's popped up. Look at that. So now I'm down to a 0.5, okay? And I've totally missed my goat here. Alright, look, it's a relic site. So now it's turned yellow, okay? Now we know basically exactly where it is, and we just got to get close enough to get a warp in. Yeah, I should technically have done it this way. It's easier to click them, you don't accidentally change your bubble size. I still wish you could hotkey like the up, down, left, right on the probe movement. Oh, so corp mate. Wow, this one's being a real bitch. I'm already down to 0.5. Did I change my rigs? Nope. So I haven't had a high sec be this difficult before. Um, so yeah, somebody in my corp's kind of alt channel. Did I go over the filters feature on scanning? I was trying to help a person the other day. They didn't have filters set to pick up what they were hunting. Yeah, I've never done filters. So you can create filters. So see this little hamburger right here? Click that. You can go create new filter. And let's say, you only want to find like data sites. So you'd click data site and that's all that would show up. Once they were discovered anyway, that's all they would show up. And the other thing you can do, if you wanted to ignore this, you just right click it and ignore it. And then from then on that wouldn't show up anymore. So let's say it was a wormhole and I don't want to go in a wormhole. I would just say ignore it and then it would come out of the list. It's especially helpful if you're in like null that hasn't been touched in a while and you got 30 fucking things in here. Now, bubbles thingy, stop being a dick so I can show this guy how to fuck. This is me helping a new guy figure out how to do hacking instead of going to bed like I wanted to half an hour ago. So suck it, Daisy. Crumbling Angel Abandoned Colony. Why is this being such a bitch for high sec? I've never had this much trouble in high sec before. Never ever. The skills aren't too bad either. I mean, fucking fours and everything. I've got the capacitor upgrade. This is redunculous. One of the ones that fucking Iron Bank flew through system and gave you money anyway. There we go. Alright, here we go. Warp to within 0. Now, let's go and recover. So that once you found it, you can actually, from here, you can actually go right click, warp to it, align to it, you can save it. If you're doing wormholes, always save it. But I'm going to recover my probes, because if I leave system, they'll disappear. So now that I'm in here, oh, even worse. So that white one, this has been cherry picked, but I'm gonna go through it anyway. So you target it, and I've actually got a cargo scanner, so you can actually look to see what's in there. So I use my cargo scanner, nothing. Okay, yeah, this got cherry picked, but just for the sake of showing you, I'm gonna go fly over to here. I'm gonna do this bad boy. So what I mean by cherry pick is you can cargo scan these containers and see what's inside, and there's some things worth more than others. And the downside of that is you'll get people will find these, take the one container that has loot worthwhile, and leave the rest. The problem with that is then the site doesn't despawn until like downtime or something. and if it doesn't despawn, it won't respawn somewhere else to do it. So I'm doing relics. So you have to have an analyzer for the type of site you did. So this is a relic site, so I have a relic analyzer. This uses the archaeology skill. So I hit that, and you come up with the minigame. That's this kind of thing, and it acts a bit like Minesweeper. So you got two stats. Coherence, think of this as your hit points, right? And then you got virus strength. That's your alpha. Okay, it's an alpha. And so what'll happen is you start at this little red thing here, okay, and you can see where it attaches. Now when I click this, a number will show up. That number will tell me how far away I am from an occupied node, right? And that could be either good or bad thing. So I'm going to click this instead of 1. So that says 1. That means one of these guys has a thing, whatever it may be. Now what I like to do is I like to work around the perimeter as far as I can, just because if you run into a firewall or a virus or something like that, it will block your path in a radius around it. So this is a utility. Okay, utility subsystems are buffs for yourself. This one's a repair one. Okay, so you see it says self-repair increases the coherence when used by 10 per turn for 3 turns. So every turn when I click this, I gain 10 coherence. And here's the thing, not a lot of, well, I'm sure a lot of people know, but there are a lot of people who don't know. If I started at 85, that's not the maximum I can have. I can have more than that. So I can actually use this right away and gain these hit points before I actually need them. So I'm going to go ahead and click this. And you see I got 95. The next one I click, I'll go up to 105 because that's a turn. See? And it said I'm 2 away from a thing. So that means I could have one here, here, or there. But since this one said 1, and this was a thing, this one's empty. So I'm going to go here. Now I'm at 115, and that utility's gone. So it said 2 before, and I was there, so that means this has a thing. It's another utility. See? Self-repair increases by 5. So this one only gives me 5 instead of 10. But again, I can keep on going. This is a data cache. Data cache can have beneficial things in it or bad things, okay? So I'm going to leave that alone for just a second, and I'm going to start on these. Alright, see this? This is a firewall. So see what I was talking about? All of a sudden, I couldn't go to these nodes anymore. Okay? So the firewall has coherence. That's how much life it has. So since it's got 40, and I only do 30 virus strength, that means I have to use 2 turns to attack him to kill it. And it has a 20 strength. So every turn we fight, it damages me for 20. But here's the thing. My damage is first. So if you want to think of it in terms of like a tabletop RPG or something like that, in initiative, I go first. Okay, the player goes first. So if I click this, I do my 30 damage. The game checks if that's enough to kill the firewall. If so, that's it. It's done. If the firewall's still alive, then I take 20 damage. So in reality, to kill this guy, even though it takes 2 turns, I'll only take 20 damage. So just to show you, I'm going to go ahead and do it. So I've got 130 right now, it has 40. I click, I'm down to 110, it's down to 10. Now this time, I'm going to click it, it'll die, I'll take no damage. You see? So we can continue on. 3... So it's probably talking about that guy, which means there's like... So we got another firewall. Alright, I'm actually going to go ahead and hit this data cache. So we got another utility subsystem. So this one's kernel rot. So kernel rot halves the coherence of a defensive subsystem or a system core. So this will damage this. Okay, I can use this right now and lower his health to 20. I'm going to go ahead and do that. I click that, and then I click what I want to use it on. Instantly 20. And now when I attack him, because I do 30 damage, the firewall will go down without me taking any damage. And done. So now we continue on looking for the system core, which we have found. There it is right there. So now you see it does little damage but has a lot of health. So it's gonna take me 2 turns to kill him. You too, Nox. See you later, bud. But in the end, I'll be knocked down to 100. Now, there's 2 ways to fail. One is to just X out. One is to die. It's easier to fail in nullsec and lowsec than highsec, but the items that drop, it's more risk basically. So let's go ahead and do this, and then what happens when it finishes is now I can loot this container. I can open the cargo, and there's nothing there, which we already knew because I did the scan. But in a nutshell, that is how you do exploration. Yay! The site's finally cleared. You can't go to high without dying? Oh, it does.